I can see you. And that
Okay.
face of yours, is worth waiting for.
Right. It looked like it's on a poison bottle.
All right. So let me do the official opening.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I think it might be my internet connection here. Anyhow, everybody, this is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel. Welcome to episode number 10 of the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues. My guest today is he's what I call a real Jeet Kune Do old timer, and he's also a true pioneer in the Jeet Kune Do world. Ray, you've been around since the 1970s, correct?
Correct. I started at the Collie Academy on Torrance, in Torrance on Normandy Street with Dan and Richard on the school.
You were living in California at the time, or you were going back and forth?
I was going back and forth. I would stay for like 2 months at a time, a month, 3 months, whatever I could do and forward.
Okay. Ah. Okay. So how did that happen? Your first trip out to California came about because of what?
Because I'm one of my Wing Chun instructors. When he moved back to Stockton, I wanted to train in Bruce's art. Well, he goes, best thing you can do is find one of Bruce Lee's students. So I went to the Black Belt magazines and everything because there wasn't internet in the 70s. He told me, he goes, I don't teach people publicly. I don't do it. I got some students in my basement at my grocery store. But he goes, there's a guy in California named Dan Santo. And of course, I didn't know who he was at the time. I said, oh, well, does he teach public? He goes, yeah. So he gave me his number. And the first time I met him, I went up there. And all, because I called and he said, well, I'll be there, so-and-so day. I forgot, it was a Thursday, I think. But anyway, he drove up and he seen me sitting there and he goes, can I help you? And I told him who I was. He goes, well, I see you made it all the way from Dallas. I said, yeah, I'm totally convinced to do it. So he taught me private.
Okay.
The classes too. So I was really lucky. And I got to train with Dan and Richard. I mean, Seafood Dan and Seafood Richard. And of course, Chris Camp was there, Cass and Paul Vunak, everybody was there. I was just like in hog heaven.
Yeah. All right.
With everybody.
Yeah.
So that's basically how I got started.
Right. And how so then the idea, when did the instructor thing come about? How long after that?
Okay, it took me, I started in 79 with Dan. And I was Seafood Dan and Seafood Richard at the school. Dan gave me his teaching, my teaching in it's where say the Collie Academy and the John Fong Kung Fu Academy of Los Angeles. And it was dated in March of 1985. And of course, then Richard certified me. And I've been certified. I'm certified from Dan, Larry, Richard, Chai. Got permission to teach from Victor's slot. So, a lot of things. But I got my first certificate instructor level from Dan in 85.
Okay.
And I was just lucky.
So, but before that, you were teaching or studying Wing Chun. Were you teaching?
I was teaching. I was training in Wing Chun from a guy named Toy. His last name was Toy, T-O-Y. Okay. And he had no school. He just taught out of his house. And then when he moved, I wanted to train. Just keep training. I didn't want to do Taekwondo no more. Taekwondo is a great art. It just that I wanted to do, Bruce's stuff. Yeah. So he goes, best thing you can do, just look for some, go into magazines, whatever you can do to find them. So that's how I got started. And of course, my first art was judo.
Okay.
And then I did taekwondo. Then I went to Wing Chun. Then I went to Dan and Richard and everybody else, and Larry and, and everybody.
So when in 1984, when the Kali Academy closed and they opened up the IMB,
right,
were you still traveling?
I was going back and forth, yes, sir. And then when he went to the IMB Academy with Martinez helped Dan and Richard open the IMB Academy.
Right.
Because the IMB stood for Insanto Martinez Bastillo.
Right. But at that time, Sifu Dan had the Marina del Rey school also, right?
The Marina del Rey school, he had two schools.
Right.
The Kali Academy for a little bit, and then the IMB. Then he shut down the Kali Academy and just had IMB. I don't think the Marina School, if I ain't wrong, it didn't come into effect until after, oh God, I want to say in the 90s. I don't recall that for exactly the date.
Yeah,
because something like that.
Yeah. Okay. So did you ever get too busy to keep traveling back and forth, or?
I got to the point where I had Dan and Richard and everybody coming to Dallas.
Okay.
I was the first one to bring Dan for a seminar in Dallas. But of course, people said, well, was he already, he was coming here before that for the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
He trained them, and that's how I got involved with the Cowboys. Because Coach Bob Ward was a student at the Kali Academy like I was. And he was the conditioning coach for the Cowboys. And he's the one that came up with this idea about using martial arts in football. And I got lucky, and Bob, Coach Ward had me to help from 82 to 88 till they sold them, till the Cowboys was sold. And I still train players, not just Dallas Cowboys. I train Rams. I got a lot of different players I train.
Right. And it's essentially, I know that in the early days, correct me if I'm wrong, there was the Muay Thai influence.
Chai was one of them that helped the Cowboys.
And then there was also like the Hubud and the sensitivity drills and what have you. Absolutely.
That's where the hand drills are. People, when they hear about, oh, well, you're going to teach martial arts to football players, they can't punch and kick nobody. It ain't so much that.
Right.
It's the Hubud, the bong lock, the pushing hands, all of those sensitivity drills and energy drills.
Yeah.
That's what's applied. And we got what we call two drills that we call them quick hands. And those, from the very beginning, it's a 3 and 4 count. Like when it's kind of hard to tell you, but if you see my hands, you're parrying hand, you're like guillotine, then you come back, and that's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Off the line to touch the shoulders, then you can go back and forth. And then you do, like Randy White, I still work with him. We teach, football camps and stuff. So he loves this stuff. Him and Harvey was the two wild ones back in the day.
Where's Coach Ward these days?
He's in McKinney, I won't say McKinney, Texas. I see him every once in a while. I can tell you a story. If you want to hear a story about me and Coach Ward, we was at Buffalo Wings. If you know, it's a restaurant. And it happened about a year ago. And if you look at look at Coach Ward, he looks kind of like George Bush, kind of.
Yeah.
So we was at a restaurant, and the waiter come over and thought he was George Bush. And he goes, "Oh, sir, it's so great to meet you." And, and of course, Bob, "Oh, yeah, I'm George Bush. Of course I am." And all this. So he kept that waiter going for a while, and I just started laughing. I looked over at the guy and said, "Hey, buddy, he is not George Bush. He's the former conditioning coach for the Cowboys." And this guy went, "Yeah, right." Then he didn't even believe anything. So that was kind of funny. Coach Ward is always playing jokes and stuff.
Yeah.
So he's a great guy, and he's 85 years old.
Oh my God.
And his brother went to school with Dan in college.
Oh, really?
Sifu Dan.
Okay.
Yeah. And Sifu Dan looked up to Bob because Bob was 2 years older than he was.
Okay.
So yeah, it's kind of funny how that was Sifu Dan's mentor at one time was Coach Ward.
Right.
And then Coach Ward became a student under Dan.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of funny how that works.
And
all. So
yeah. And so what about let's go to the 80s. So you get your certificate in 1985. When did you?
85, March. I think it was March of 85. I don't have it in front of me, but I think it's March 85. And Terry Gibson got his right after mine. If you know who Terry Gibson was.
Yeah, yeah. I got mine. Yeah. In September or October of 85.
So what? So let me ask you, what was your certificate look like?
That's a good question.
Does it say, some of them after 85 or around 85, because Super Dan told me this is only got this one and Terry getting the same thing you're getting. And they say the Kali Academy. Now, after that, they say the Santo Academy.
Right. Yeah. I
don't know exactly.
Yeah, I'd have to pull them out of storage or something.
Yeah,
but
I would have to go find mine off the wall. Or
yeah,
absolutely. But a lot of people don't realize that Dallas and Fort Worth, the whole top part of Texas, or just a lot of Texas, I'm the one that brought Dan, Larry, Richard, Chai, everybody, and they didn't even know what. A lot of things. Taekwondo was a real big art here in Dallas, in Texas.
Yeah.
And they didn't even know what, Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do was, or, stuff like that. So it's kind of funny.
Let me throw out a Texas Taekwondo name and you tell me if you know it. Ishmael Robles.
Robles. His name rings a bell.
Okay.
The people I knew back in the old day was Alan Steen,
Roy
Kerman. All these is, like Alan Steen fought Chuck Norris.
Yeah.
And, back when there was point tournaments.
Yeah.
For the championship and stuff.
Roy Kerman had a book on Taekwondo printed by the people from Black Belt. I remember him.
Right.
Right.
He's a good guy. I mean, I met him. I don't really know him that well. I just met him once, so I know who he is.
Yeah, I remember reading, as a kid in Barbados, reading about those Texas Taekwondo bruisers. They
had their little groups. Demetrius Avanis was a real tough cookie.
Yeah.
He died in a plane crash.
Right.
And I'm trying to think of the guy's name that fought Chuck Norris too. And you end up being a fireman, a fire chief for Garland, Texas. And I can't think of his name.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm over 60, so my memory is not what it used to be.
Yeah.
I guess I've been hitting the head too much.
So when did Crow's martial art open up?
Okay, it started in about 86, because from about 82 to 85, it was Wing Chun Academy, is what I called it.
Okay.
And of course, I taught more than just, I taught a few different things, not just Wing Chun by itself. But after Dan certified me in 85, I named it kind of Crow's Martial Arts.
Okay.
After me and all that. But yeah, it was around 85. I want to say 85, 86, something like that.
Well, I take it that now it's how long has it been a full-time gig?
Mine's been a full-time gig for about the last 3-4 years.
Okay.
Because I've done the house building. I was a contractor for a Frito-Lay for a lot of years.
Okay.
And I was a contractor for them. And so, I've done a lot of different things, maintenance back in my old days when in the 70s. So I did everything maintenance, and I've done security work. And I was in the Army for a little bit. So, so I've been bouncing.
Right. Okay, so the school was kind of like so you had the regular job or the real job, and then the school was like a hobby thing.
Yeah, the hobby. I mean, the school was just like a hobby or just like extra money, if you want to call it that. Yeah. It wasn't like my 8 to 5 job, or it ain't no such thing as 8 to 5 in martial arts, but
right,
a full-time job, not.
Okay.
So just about 4 years ago, something like that.
So as somebody who was there, at the end of the 70s, before like the seminar circuit started, right?
Yeah. Are you talking about for people I knew that was around before this?
What my question is, like, did you feel when the interest started to grow in the 1980s?
The interest grew. Oh yeah, in the 80s it started growing. Then of course, Sifu Dan and Sifu Richard and everybody else. That's when the seminars, people start asking for them in the 80s. And by the time, I want to say, I had Dan down, I think 82 or 83. I think it was 83 the first time.
Okay.
And and it had a decent turnout. After that, the second time it was like, I think I had 60 people, 70, and that was a lot of people back then. So in his seminar. And I was in a building that, a lot of them was outside. And Dan and Sifu Dan would have to walk in and out to, because we had so many. But, I want to say around 83, I guess, is when, to me, that when Texas, after I brought down that Sifu Dan the first time, that's when it exploded to me in Texas. Now, other places like New York, that's a different thing.
Yeah. And
California and like where you're at, Florida and all that, it has their own timetable, but that's what I'm looking at. And I think the seminar bracket, that's when I think it kind of expanded and really grew. And you got, I see a big benefit because some people would never be able to train with people like Sifu Dan and them.
Right.
If it wasn't for a seminar.
Right. Yes.
People, I was like me, I was real lucky to go back and forth because my grandmother, she owned a nursing home, but she was, well off. She owned apartment houses and she was the one helping me go back and forth.
Okay.
Where I could stay there for 2 or 3 months at a time, then come back home, then go back for another month, 2 months, whatever I did. I was averaging 2 to 3 times a year going back to California.
Okay.
For a few years. Then it got to where it was a little slower.
Yeah.
Then by 83, I think it was, I asked Dan to come down. It was more feasible then, and of course he did, and all that.
Okay. So I was taking a look at your website, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have the Jeet Kune Do background. So now tell me about your Filipino martial arts background.
Okay. My Filipino martial arts background is more influence off of course, Sifu Dan, Sifu Richard, Sifu Larry Hartsell, and Lindsay Lagusa.
How did that come about? That's where I was headed with this.
Sifu Bastillo gave me the ideal. Sifu Bastillo saying, he had Guru Lindsay at one of his instructor camps at his school.
Okay.
And of course, Grandmaster Lagusa, Ben Lagusa, he didn't really do much anymore.
Right.
But, his sons and all. So I got a hold of Lindsay, called him. He was in Vegas. He lived in Vegas. He passed away now. He's gone. Oh. That's the saddest thing in the world. Yeah. He was one of my best friends, and teachers. But he said, well, you can come up here. So me and my wife flew to Vegas. And he was telling me a story. I don't know if you heard this. You know how Dan was watching, Sifu Dan was watching one of the Lagusa's demos. And Lindsay stripped a stick with his feet.
Yes.
And Dad thought that was one of the greatest things.
Yeah.
I was asking Lindsay about it, and Lindsay said, "I'm glad that Dan got to see it, because if he asked me to do it again, I could probably never do it again like that."
Yeah, I've seen. I saw the video of that. Oh man. Okay. Somebody's internet cut out. All right, we'll give Ray, man, in the middle of the Largusa story. We'll give Ray a few seconds to come back on. Get this going again. Yeah, me too. All right, let me see if I can fix his internet connection. Oh man, that sucks. Okay, he should be back. Technology, guys, sorry.
Sorry, I lost you for a second, Seafood Woods.
That's all right.
I'm back. Sorry.
I was like, man, in the middle of the Largusa story.
Right. I'm so sorry. Anyway, so after he did that, he told me, he goes, yeah, I told, he said, I would never be able to do it again as smooth as that. And, but you know how you get people, you teach people, sit on their back, lay on their back and do the 6 count, how then you can turn and all, but do it with your feet.
Yes.
And a lot of people say, well, you mean doing it with your feet? I said, first thing you got to be laying down.
Yeah.
But that coordinates your hands, your feet, just like you would your hands. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, he was just one. And he I tell you another thing that he told me. He was talking to Dana White, the UFC president, and he wanted him to look at a stick tournament, like stick fighting, like the UFC. Yeah. And Dana White said, yeah, I agree. I'll look at it. Well, after he watched that, Lindsay had some guys come over and they got kind of bloody because they was doing it with the sticks and wasn't much helmets or anything. And Dana White went, no, I can't do that. No insurance company would touch this. But that's what Lindsay had in his mind to do that.
Yeah, stay there because sometimes I can't see your face. All right, good.
Yeah, I'm. How about that?
You get excited talking about the Kali.
Oh, I've been doing it since I don't know, since early, in my teens, and I still get excited. When I teach, I get excited.
Excellent.
So,
excellent. Okay. So the Muay Thai background is what?
From Chai. Ajahn Chai.
Okay, so you were introduced to him through Sifu Dan, probably.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then you started bringing him to Texas.
Oh yeah, yes. I started bringing him into, I think 85, 86. Was his first time to come down for me.
Okay.
And then he was coming down every year for me for a few years. I don't know, 4 or 5 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And then he,
Let me throw out another Texas name I just thought of. Jim Buchanan.
And what was his name?
Jim Buchanan.
Yeah, I've heard of him. Yeah, I think I know who it is.
Because I'm trying to think. I know I've been to Dallas a couple of times for Sifu Dan's seminar, but I don't think it was at your place.
Well, there's what's her name? Lori, not Lori, Dory, holds Dan for seminars now, and
Okay.
right outside of Fort Worth. And Jim Buchanan, Jim Buchanan and her.
Yeah.
Jim and her is the one that hosts.
Okay.
Dan. Yeah. I had to think for a second.
Yeah.
Because I know, believe it or not, I know 3 Jim Buchanans. So I was trying to figure out which one you was talking about. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Penjack, see that background in history.
Okay, my background is from Dan and from Victor Dutoit, mainly.
Okay.
And of course now, Guru Dutoit, he's gone.
Right.
He passed away.
Oh man, it's a shame.
I know, it's sad because Lindsay, Guru Lindsay Lugusa passed away. Then, of course, Sifu Bastillo passed away. And he was just here.
Yeah.
Right before he passed away.
Wow.
Right, just a few months.
Yeah. Yeah,
And,
I mean, that's why to me it's important to keep the lineage going, because all these guys, I mean, even Sifu Larry is gone.
Yeah, and Sifu Hartzell's gone. Yeah,
You know?
and you have to. People ask me, for example, why have I trained under so many of Bruce Lee's students, like Joseph Cowles, Jesse Glover, and people like that, plus Dan, Larry, and Richard. And I'm fortunate to be certified from Dan, Larry, and Richard. Yeah. But, people say, why did you do that? I said, well, because Bruce taught every one of them individually different. They had their own specialty. Like Larry was his grappling. Richard was his boxing, because he was a wine champ at one time. And of course, Dan is Dan. He can do anything, just out. He can hands, feet, whatever the case may be. Yeah. And I look at that and I try to teach it to my students to how, okay, if you're a puncher, then you got to really enhance that, but you got to build on your legs and your grappling and all. Because I'll tell people there's 4 stages of fighting, and people say, well, I don't understand what you're saying. Well, there's punching, kicking, grappling, and then the other one is weapons. You're going to have all 4 of these. Right. You can't just say, well, I don't need weapons. I won't never, if you ever get attacked by a stick or a knife or something, if you never train with it, you're in trouble.
You're in trouble. Yeah.
It's like how Bruce always used to say, how do you beat a boxer? You learn how to box. How do you beat a knife fighter? You learn how to use a knife. So that's the kind of principle I look at. And like Larry, Sifu Larry was a grappler. So you learn how to grapple to deal with a grappler. And so on, like a boxer and all the rest of them. So I borrowed stuff from them, the way they taught me, and I could see what their favorite thing is or their specialty is. Yeah. Then I knew when I see it in a student, I would try to enhance that teaching methods to then say, okay, if you're a puncher, then this is what you need to do. Right. You still got to build on your other stuff, but you need to focus on your forte, if you want to say it, like your boxing or whatever the case may be. Yeah.
So with that varied background, right? When the whole controversy about the original Jeet Kune Do and the Jeet Kune Do concepts, when all that stuff started being put in the magazines, what were you thinking?
Somebody fell on their head. I mean, I don't want to get too political or throw too much politics out. Yeah. But, that JKD original and then the JKD concept. The way I understand it and the way everybody tells me, Dan, and JKD original is Jump Long Kung Fu, then you take that and you go to JKD concepts to build what your personal, it's like Richard always say, sign your name. You sign your name different than anybody. And that's how your Jeet Kune Do needs to be. So I see people that say, well, Dan diluted it and all that. Well, you have to grow. You take the Jump On Kung Fu material and you've got to build off of that to make it your Jeet Kune Do, whatever it is. It might be Kali, might be Thai boxing, or whatever the case may be. But you got to build off of it. You can't just be stuck in that mode to not grow. So, you know, that JKD original JD concept, I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. To me, that people that's saying that, some of them, not all, might be trying to make a dollar and making it sound like they're special and they're the one teaching the real thing. Mm-hmm. I don't know, you know. That's I've seen it. Unfortunately, I've seen it with some people. I ain't gonna mention no names, but I've seen it.
That idea of growth. Tell me how that applies to decades of working it with the athletes, with the football players and what have you.
Are you saying the connection that how it came around with football?
Because I would imagine that there had to be an evolution, because it wasn't always called Crow's sports science.
Oh, no. This is Coach Ward. He's the one that invented the program, not me.
Oh, okay.
I did not.
Okay.
Coach Ward invented it. Now, I've added my own little touch to it, and that's why I call it Crow's Sports Science program. That's mine, and I use Coach Ward's program, and he allowed me to do it, and he said it's great. And he comes by every once in a while, and we even work out. And I'll kind of see some of the stuff, and I still work with Randy White and a bunch of them, you know. And anyway, but no, my stuff was revolve around his stuff. Now he's kind of out of it, you know. He's 85. He don't teach. He don't do anything no more, really. But he vouches, you know. He promotes me and all that, so he knows my program is really based off of his. And if you go to my website, that growsportscience.com, you'll see it's plain as day saying that's based on his program. Of course, I have my own little, like I say, my own little touch or whatever you like to say. But yes, that was his. And he did this back in the 70s. He got that and he asked, you know, and Seafood Bastillo and all them to come up there and to start teaching the Cowboys. And he was there for a week or 2 weeks at a time. And since I lived in Dallas, Coach Ward said, would you mind, since you live here, you could come up, you know, all the time, you know, as much as, you know, we can have you up here. I said, yeah, I'll be happy to come up here. Okay. So I started at the Forest Lane location. I know a lot of people say, well, I don't understand that. You know, at the Cowboys Center, there was Valley Ranch. Then it went to the Star. Now it's at the Star. But before Valley Ranch, it was just had a little building over on Forest Lane in Abrams in Dallas. And there was a little hotel right next to it. Now it's a chicken place or a Burger King or something. I don't know what it is now, but there was, I tell you a little story. There, you know, Coach Allen that used to coach the Redskins back in the day, that coached at the same time Coach Landry did. Okay. At the hotel, Coach Allen from the Redskins would hire people to come to that hotel and watch the field and watch us train. And Coach Landry found out about it. So when he found out about it, he would just rent that whole hotel for the day. And that's true. That's honest God truth. That's so funny. I mean, you know. And he stopped that. And cool. So it's funny how everybody's trying to compete and do their little thing. So
hey, you do what you got to do. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Jiu-Jitsu background and history.
Jiu-Jitsu is 99% of my stuff was from Sifu Hartzell itself. I did train in judo. Judo was my very first art I ever studied. And I trained under a guy named Vince Tamura in Dallas. Okay. And I trained with him. I think it was yellow belt or blue belt. I think it was yellow. But anyway. And then I went to Taekwondo. I like grappling, but I was kind of watching Bruce Lee and all that on the Green Hornet and all that. And I was looking for the judo chops. And Sensei Tamura said there is no such thing as judo chops. So I wanted to punch and kick too. So I went to Taekwondo, and I shouldn't have left judo, but I did for a while. So basically my grappling is from Dan, of course, Dan does his stuff, but mainly it's from Sifu Hartsell and Sensei Mura was mine.
Okay. When the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu hit the market, what was your reaction?
Well, I put it this way. It's great. Jiu-Jitsu is a wonderful, great art. But, it's like Sifu Hartsell used to say this. He goes, I did grappling when it wasn't cool.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah. People say, well, do you compare Jiu-Jitsu to Larry's JKD grappling? I like his grappling, JKD grappling, a lot better. It's got a lot more different stuff, because Sifu Hartsell would take the Mog, shoot wrestling, whatever, and Gene LaBelle stuff.
Yeah.
And anything for that matter, whatever he could find. So to me, it's more like a multifaceted system to me, because Jiu-Jitsu, like I say, is a great art and I like it, but I don't think it's as expands as much as like Sifu Hartsell stuff, and of course Sifu Dan and all that. Because you watch one of them, you watching them when they grapple, and it looked like a musician playing.
Right.
They just it just seems so good and so smooth and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I get it. I would still get excited. I'm going for so long, and I watch them. I still get excited, like a kid in the candy store.
Yeah. All right. So the Wing Chun we know came from Toy.
Toy is one, and I got lucky and trained with Hawkins Chung in William Chung. I was at a seminar for a week down in '82 with Dan was doing a seminar for a week at the California seminars, and it was a week long. The first one was Jay Amato, not Jeff Amato. Had nothing to do with Jeff. This guy was named Jay Amato.
Jay Amato, That was the first CMAA. You were the second CMAA.
Right. Absolutely. Right. And then Hawkins Chung came down. William Chung was there. And that's where I got to meet Jesse Glover and got to work with him a little bit later after that. But Hawkins came down and he invited me to his school in California, So I went up there and I trained a couple times with him, a few times. It was great. It was great. He's funny. He's a little guy, but he has so much power.
Yeah.
And William Chung, I got to work a little bit with him, but like I say, when people ask me about my Wing Chun stuff, it's more from Toy, Dan, Francis Fong. I forgot about Francis, Sifu Fong. He would get me for this for not mentioning him. But yes, Sifu Fong too. I forgot. And so I've had a few influences from Wing Chun.
Did Hawkins Chung and William Chung have Bruce Lee stories?
Absolutely. Like the rooftop, the fights on the rooftop and stuff like that. And, I know you heard the stories about the loser would go over. Yeah. And Hawkins would tell us, after, after Bruce won the Cha-Cha tournament, for dancing, Hawkins was a judge for that, was one of the judges.
Oh, okay.
And Hawkins said there were some bitter arguments over that. With the contestants and all. So, you know how that goes. But he's saying there was always fights and stuff like that. But, and Dan, and the whole story about how Hawkins even told me that Bruce would put a sign on the door at Yep Man's school saying it was closed and they wasn't. That was, everybody saying, no, that was a myth. But Hawkins even say that. Bruce got caught doing that.
When you hear people talking about, oh well, Bruce Lee, we don't know if he was any good because he never competed, right?
It's funny, like UFC is one tough art. One tough sport.
Yeah.
But Bruce, when people ask me that, do you think Bruce would have been any good? He would have probably, in my opinion, won the championship a lot of years in his weight division. He would have won the gymnastics if he would have went into gymnastics. He was so good at gymnastics. Yeah. Anything he did. But, you know, when it comes to competing, he was teaching people that was champions. Like Chuck Norris, Joe Louis, and all them. And people said, well, you know, and they want to twist it. Yeah. And, well, they just worked out. Yeah. And I hear a thing now that, like Joe Reed, late Joe, Sensei Reed, he just passed away. And they were saying that, or he, you know, I don't know, you know, this is hearsay, but how he was teaching Bruce's, you know, Bruce how to kick. Bruce, his kicking was way before that. You know, he's kicking for what Sifu Dan and Sifu Richard and everybody tell me that his kicking was more of a northern kung fu systems based. Right. Now, you know, people say, well, then, you know, that ain't no mean that he didn't look at probably some of the people kicking and got something out of it to enhance his own kicking. But his art, his kicking sure wasn't from the Chinese, I mean, from the Korean or the Okinawa. It was more influence from from Chinese. And of course, he loved Thai boxing. He liked Thai. Yeah. So, you know, like I say, but the bottom line, like you asked, by his, you know, would he been good? I think he would have walked all over him. I think it would have been like a joke. Yeah. And like Dan saying that he could knock you out or hurt you bad with just his jab. Right. Yeah. So, you know, so to me, yeah, he would have been a champion for at least a few years. And, all right. So. I'm still going through the website. So then the Western boxing, that's from Sifu Bustillo. Yeah, mainly, yes, sir. Yeah. Mainly. I trained with a guy named Callahan that was, he trained with the champion Curtis Coates in the Dallas area. I got some boxing from Callahan. I got it from Richard. I got it from, you know, of course, from Sifu Dan, Sifu Richard, Sifu Hartzell. And Sifu Hartzell was a good boxer. Yeah, and really? People just didn't realize how good his boxing was. He was really good. Now, I got a lot of good stuff out of, you know, from when I got certified in, let's see, when was it, 86 or 87 from Larry. Sifu Hartzell. I think it's 86 or 87. And so something like that. But the boxing was, you know, Western boxing. And all the, you know, the Panatuka and all that is from Dan and Sifu Dan, Sifu Richard, and Sifu Hartzell, so, and all that. But I tell you, Sifu Lindsay Lagusa was really special. I'm a big Bill Braille Lagusa art fan. Yeah. I just love it. And one of my favorite things to do is numerato. Really? And and Dan gave me a thing one day and he drawed it. He said, this is exactly the way Bill Braille taught me. He wrote the numbers on the pattern, how you go from 1 to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. You know what I'm saying? So, and if you can go to YouTube and you see, I don't put too many videos on YouTube. I'm not a video person. I'm not good at it, but you can tell right now, but my face looks like a poison bottle. Not to worry. But there's a couple things with me and Lindsay Lagusa on YouTube. Okay. Together. And you see, he's talking about numerato, and he's even doing it. Yeah. And like, it's smooth. God, it's smooth. Yeah. I've seen the one where he's kind of shadow boxing with the single stick. I've seen that in his backyard. No, I think it's in a school. Yeah, that was at my school. But if you see the one that he did when he demonstrated the 12 angles, it's his own personal video. Him and Dave, I think, put on there. Okay. Anyway, at the end of that, you know, it talks about the Bill Braille 12 angles. Yeah. On YouTube. And it shows the angles and had, you know, one of Lindsay's guys. Well, at the end of it, he's in his backyard talking about run, grasshopper. You know, he does that. And it's so funny. He goes, he texted me and he told me, he goes, did you see what I was wearing? I said, no, I didn't pay attention. He had a white t-shirt. He goes, it's yours. Ah, yeah. So that was kind of neat. So he was he was a special guy. He was really I just loved him to death. It bothers me every time I get emotion sometimes over him.
I really envy your being able to spend some time with him, because I have a particular love for the Villabril Lorgusa system myself, but I don't have the in-depth stuff. Okay, one more.
Okay.
The combative knife course.
The Uwak knife course. If
yeah.
people ask me, what does Uwak stand for?
Yes.
Uwak means crow. In Filipino and Chinese, they both mean the same thing. They spell like that.
Okay.
A friend of mine say, Uwak means crow. I said, well, that's great. I like that name.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I named it after that. And my stuff, I got the knife, the gun, and I got people like from the FBI and people like that to come in and local police departments and give their input along with my material that I teach.
Yeah.
So it's, it's like, it's just a simple sheet that I give, for example, just for a confrontation. If you see, like when people going out to the car or in a restaurant, they get into an argument with somebody, or you go to your car and somebody, being some dummy wants to take your keys or something. I have a sheet that I give people. It's the confrontation, your mindset, your goal, and your aftermath. That's the four things that I tell people you have to deal with when you have a confrontation with somebody. And the confrontation is whatever you do, the confrontation, whatever it is, argument or whatever. Your mindset is what you're going to do. You're going to walk away from it, or you're going to have to fight or whatever. Then you set a goal to how you're going to do it. If you're going to walk away, or if you got to fight, then in the aftermath, you got to deal with the legal part of it, or even the emotional part of, getting hurt, or you hurting somebody or something. So it's a funny thing. And I got that principle from Zig Ziglar.
Really?
If you remember him.
Yes.
And he's a motivational speaker. He was when he was alive. But of course, I had to change a lot of it.
Was he?
He didn't do martial arts, but that chart I use for the Uwak knife stuff. And we have obstacle course that we do with firearms. We use air guns. I don't use no real guns. I ain't about to, have people take. If people ask me, well, could you teach me how to shoot? I say, no.
Right.
I know people that will teach you how to shoot. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I'm an amateur when it comes to that. I know people that can teach you how to shoot. I teach you how to deal with the stuff and how to maneuver and stuff like that. But the shooting part, no, I don't deal with that.
Besides the professional athletes from basketball and football and what have you, what about fighters? Have you done any training with for fighters?
I've had a few, and they all, it's like a fighter is a special breed of person. Because they're going to eliminate everything out of their family in a way. They got to come to that gym 8 hours a day and, 6 hours. And, when I say they got to, I won't say they neglect their family, but they have to commit so much for that. And a lot of people, I've only had a few. Now, I've had one of my guys, if you know what the North American Grappling Association is.
Yeah, NAGA, yeah.
Okay. Now, one of my guys came out of the blue, and I started teaching him. He came in second place in it and never done anything. And now he's a school teacher. So full contact people, I've trained a few, but more grappling people and stick tournaments. Now I've had stick tournaments. I've had a few people that did real good. We did a Hall of Fame thing, and 3 of my guys came first, second, and third.
Wow.
So, so that was kind of good. But, the fighters, I have more, believe it or not, more stick people than I have, any, kickboxing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right.
So over the years, right? What can you think of, like, significant changes that you've seen or that you yourself have experienced in the JKD world?
Well, you get these people that's saying they know JKD and they get, and then they get, you get these people that say they're certified and they did a weekend seminar somewhere or something, or get a, you know, and then people say, well, man, that's Jeet Kune Do, man. That's not very impressive. But, you know, you get people like that don't really, I won't say shouldn't be teaching, but they are, and that's okay. But I've seen it watered down so many ways, and to where a lot of people get discouraged with it. They say, that's Jeet Kune Do. And they're not really, how to say it, they just ain't trained enough in it to be, you know, and that's why, that's the most biggest thing I've seen in the years, that, you know, it's almost, Jeet Kune Do is almost getting to pop up on every corner like Taekwondo was, or Judo and all that. And it's, you really need to, I don't certify nobody under 4 years. Nobody.
Right.
And it takes at least 4 years for them to even be considered for me.
Okay.
So, and people, you know, so, well, that ain't that long. Well, maybe it ain't, but I give them at least 4 years minimum to be eligible.
So what do you foresee for the future of the art of Jeet Kune Do then, going forward?
You know, for when I see that people, it's like when Sifu Dan, Sifu Larry, Sifu Richard and all, now that they're gone, Sifu Dan is basically the only one really left that's teaching publicly. Yeah. After he retires and what he does, he quits teaching, I think it's got to be the second generation people like me and you. Yeah. That will have to groom people and get them to do, you know, how to say it, the things to make it grow and not make it I'm really big on this, but not making it like on every corner. It needs to be unique, because it is a unique art. You know what I'm saying? So I just see that that's what I see, that if they can, I'm always on that ideal, thinking about maybe they should have some kind of, you know, like in the state of Texas where I'm at, you know, to be a acupuncture or something, you got to go through the state. Well, people laugh at me when I say this, some people do, that there should be some patrol or something that channels that. You know, it's like back in the day when there was the Bruce Lee group, the foundation thing, not the one now, but the JKD group, that was that back when Dan and Richard ran it. People, you know, Dan, there's JKD Society. Dan didn't want to do it. He didn't want to be the president because it was, you know, he was so busy. So Richard went ahead and started doing it, and it lasted a few years. Now Bruce's foundation, you know, with Miss Lee and then her daughter Shannon and all doing it, that helps. That helps. I think that, you know, that helps to kind of, you know, not really monitor people, because you can't be, I call it, me and Chris Kent on one of his posts I was talking about. You can't be the JKD police. There's no such thing. You know, and like Seafood Stilo told me, he goes, and Seafood Dan told me the same thing. You know, don't worry about that, because that would be your full-time job, and start worrying about, or not really worrying, but, you know, be concerned about people that's teaching or doing, you know, teaching, and maybe they shouldn't be teaching. Yeah. And I gave that up. Let them worry. Let the students beware. That's all I can say. Yeah. About, you know, just check their credentials. That's the best thing I can say.
You know what? I don't want to be the JKD police. What I want to do is exactly what I'm doing with people like you, guys who have devoted their entire lives to this art and philosophy of Jeet Kune Do, you know, and have been putting it out there. So I want to thank you for spending this time with me this evening. We had a bunch of technical hiccups, but
and I'm sorry, like I say, I'm not a technical person. And I'm, you know, I wish it could got smoother at first, but I'm glad we got it done. And I'm very honored for you to ask me to do this. And anytime else you need, you know, you want to hear me BS, I'll be happy to talk to you.
It's not BS at all. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it, sir.
Thank you, and have a good day, sir.
Okay, take care.
Okay, bye.
All right, so that's it. Episode 10, notifications in advance. But for now, that's it. Thanks for tuning in and spending some time with us. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel, signing off from another episode of the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues. You guys enjoy the rest of the day. Take care.